What's going on, everybody? C4 here. Welcome back to the channel. And tonight, right after the conclusion of the 2021 NFL Draft, it is time to hand out some draft grades. We're going to be going through all 32 teams. I'll be giving out my initial grades. Off the top of my head right now, I don't think there's going to be any Fs. I'd love to be Fs, a little bit of hot take, a little bit of stir in the pot. Off the top of my head, there was some drafts that I didn't think were great, but I don't think there was any outright failures. Like thinking like last year, people were like, rightfully so, like really critical about maybe the Green Bay Packers draft. Like that was an F. This year, I don't know if there's any draft that sticks out like a sore thumb, but we will see. Because, I don't know many. Like, I know there's some drafts I definitely love. I think there's a good chance there's a couple A-pluses in here. I don't think there's going to be anything that's so low that it's going to be an F. But we're going to start with the Arizona Cardinals and go all the way down to Washington football team. And without further ado, the Arizona Cardinals. First round, they got Zaven Collins. I don't know why they continue to keep doing this to themselves. I don't think it's a bad pick. I think Zaven Collins is a great player. But it took Arizona forever to kind of put it all together and figure things out with Hassan Riddick. Took them way too long to figure out how to get Isaiah Simmons involved in that defense. So yet again, they get a guy in Zaven Collins where he might be a little bit of a niche player for a defense. You're going to have to figure out how you're going to utilize Zaven Collins. Him and like JOK from Notre Dame with the two linebackers that's like, what are we really going to do with them? You better have a plan in place. And we've seen already Arizona over the last couple years hasn't really had like a definitive plan, at least right away, in place for these type of players. So while I do like the player, is he going to play next to Jordan Hicks? Is he going to be a rotational edge rusher? You know, it's not a bad pick, but it's not a home run. But what is a home run is in the second round, they got Rondale Moore, which arguably might be one of my favorite fits in this entire draft process. S-tier athlete, a guy that's immediately just going to, you know, they had the dude from UMass. Can't remember the name off the top of my head right now, but he was supposed to be their field stretcher. He's kind of inconsistent. Guy like Rondale Moore, he has some drops, maybe some durability concerns, but in the second round, that's an uber fun player to have on that Arizona Cardinals offense. Marco Wilson, shoegate aside, if you can put just his last year and a half or so at Florida behind him and look at, especially when he was a true freshman, he was outstanding to go with that athletic ability. Could be worth a flyer. It's not a home run. Dimukeji out of Jukes, good. Rotational edge. Tay Gowan, a PFF darling at corners, not bad. James Wiggins, I love that value in the 7th round, especially after the huge pro day he had. And then you just got a depth center there. Ultimately, for the Arizona Cardinals, not a home run draft, but definitely not a bad draft. I'm going to give it a B. I think the biggest thing for me out of this entirety of the draft is I love the Rondale Moore pick, and are they going to be able to figure out how to use Zaven Collins sooner than later? Because given the last couple, niche defensive fits, it's taken them longer than it probably should have. Going to the Atlanta Falcons, which is, I'm surprised, honestly, how many Falcon fans weren't like, yes, Kyle Pitts is awesome. I guess there's a big demographic of Falcon fans that really wanted a QB or Jamar Chase or something like that. Kyle Pitts is awesome, and that is, that's a home run pick, especially now if you can, kind of put the fire out to those whole Julio Jones potential trade rumors. Kyle Pitts, Julio Jones, Calvin Ridley, Matt Ryan, sounds pretty damn good to me. Richie Grant, versatile defensive back, had a huge Senior Bowl. Jalen Mayfield, tackle and or guard. Probably they're projecting him into guard. Hall solid. Drew Dahlman, baby. Jason Kelsey. Taquan Graham had a good pro day. Ogundeji, don't know a whole lot about him to say if this is a home run or not. Just, again, it's kind of a solid, not really great production at Notre Dame. Maybe one of those guys could be a better pro than he was a college star. Avery Williams, good special teamer from Boise State. And then you got Frank Darby from Arizona State. Overall, I obviously the late round picks, nothing. I mean, Drew Dalman's interesting too because didn't you just draft Hennessy? Is he going to be staying at guard for you guys and not be a long-term project at center? Because it kind of felt like Hennessy was selected to be the heir to Alex Mack. Now with Dalman there, could kind of confuse it. But I'm really looking just really at those first 3 picks. Those are good value selections there for the Atlanta Falcons. And ultimately, much like Arizona, I'm going to give them a B. I don't really think they did the best of strong a job in day 3 of the draft. It wasn't bad. But I really do like those first 3 picks, enough so that kind of carries them through this rating and gets them to that B. Baltimore. The Ravens always draft well. Let's look at what we got here. They were Rashad Bateman, who is, looking at the current depth chart, I think he's going to walk in to wide receiver 2 on that squad. You got Jason Owe, who's going by Odafe Owe now. Edge, obviously huge project type player, but when you look at the Baltimore Ravens pretty much being able to develop like HBCU and like Div 2 players to becoming like fringe Pro Bowl talents. Judon, they developed him. He got paid. Zadarius Smith, right? He was there, right? He got paid. So, while I don't know what the immediate rookie contributions of Jason Owe is going to be, or Dafe Owe, I think the Baltimore Ravens have done enough to be like, yeah, let's give them the benefit of the doubt that they can develop him. Ben Cleveland's a great fit. Brandon Stevens, solid corner. I believe he's a converted running back. Love the Dylan Wallace selection. Love the Sean Wade in the 5th round, especially, are they going to make him safety? Could be a safety, could be a slot corner. Dalen Hayes, solid rotational guy. They brought in a fullback so they don't have to have Reichard. Probably is a two-way player now. They'll keep him on the defensive line. Either way, this is a very strong draft. I think Bateman, Owe, Tylan Walls, and Sean Wade. Maybe I'm lowballing here a little bit. I think B+. Could be trending towards an A. They didn't really get the tackle that they're probably, because Ben Cleveland, even though he's gigantic, is probably not going to be the heir to Orlando Brown. But it's still, it's B+. Absolutely, yeah. That I feel like if they got a tackle, it could go into the A territory, but because they didn't cross off all their needs, still got some good players. B+ for Baltimore. Buffalo. All right, well, they took a little bit of a work in progress the first round. Greg Rousseau from Miami. Boogie Basham in the 2nd round. Can you say the Buffalo Bills weren't satisfied with their pass rush last season? Spencer Brown is a S-tier athlete at tackle, project tackle. Tommy Doyle is solid. Stevenson, good deep threat, even though he doesn't have like 4.3 speed or anything like that. Hamlin's better player than an athlete because he slipped there, probably because of the athletic testing. Wild Goose, I think he's one of the younger corners in this class. And then you got Jack Anderson, who's a solid guard. Good pass pro. Maybe not as good as I thought off the top of my head this class might have been for Buffalo. Because the last 2 years, I've had the Buffalo Bills near the top of my draft boards. I just feel like for Buffalo, you're viewing this as like a draft potentially to take them over the edge. They were really close last year. And did they do enough in this draft to take them from, man, there might be the best team in the AFC to like, holy shit, they killed this draft. I think they're going to be the best team. I don't know if they did that because Rousseau's a little bit more of a long-term projection. I don't know what they're going to get from him as a rookie. Same for Spencer Browning's depth. Boogie Basham could be nice. I think I'm going to give this B- for Buffalo just because I'm going with this mindset of who in this draft is going to take Buffalo over that edge. Who's going to be able to contribute right away to help them get over the edge. And you look at those first 3 picks, maybe Boogie Basham's that guy. Same could be said on the counterpoint. It's like, well, Buffalo's preparing to get sustained success. And they're not just necessarily going all in for next season. They want guys that are going to be good for 2-3 years down the line. So that's kind of valid. But ultimately, I think the Buffalo Bills kind of should be in like a win now. This is your chance, especially in that division. But B- not a bad draft. Anything B- and above is me not hating on your team's draft. Carolina. I think they might be the lead dogs right now for my Madden 22 team. They got J.C. Horn in the 1st round, which was kind of surprising, to be honest with you. Kind of surprising, but makes sense given their needs in the secondary. Terrence Marshall Jr., as long as the knee is good, that's great value in the 2nd round. Brady Christensen is a guy, a little bit older of a prospect, but probably ready to play right away to help improve that offensive line. I wouldn't be shocked if he can compete for one of those tackle spots. Tommy Tremble, no real production at Notre Dame, but a lot of scouts rate and rate that he has a high ceiling from this tight end class. Chuba Hubbard, Canada bias aside, I love that rotation. He could be that Mike Davis type guy. Davion Nixon's insane value in the 5th round. I had him as my I think top 3 defensive tackle, if not top 5. Keith Taylor, height, weight, speed, press corner. Deontay Brown, gigantic guard from Alabama, fits that front. Shi Smith, really good slot corner. Really good value in the 6th round. Definitely was a guy I thought Philadelphia could potentially target. I'd be happy with it. They got a long snapper in their D tackle, 6th and 7th round. Yeah, I'm more so focused on these picks. I'm going to give them an A. They are absolutely getting an A. I don't, A+, maybe if, I don't know. I'm not seeing A+ here, but I'm seeing A. Really, those first, like literally every pick except their last 2, I'm a fan of. Absolutely, I'm a fan of. And I'm from the thinking of the standpoint of like, if I make my Madden team next year, like I'm going to be so pumped because J.C. Horn, height, weight, speed on the outside probably comes with a good dev trait. Terrace Marshall, the kind of guy, might get a hidden dev trait. Christian should be solid. Chuba Hubbard, I'm going to love it for the 1-2 punch with Christian McCaffrey. Let's go. They may very well be. This might be a spoiler. They could very well be my Madden 22 team. But an A for the Carolina Panthers. Chicago Bears. Traded up, got Justin Fields. Excited that you guys finally have your franchise, or hopefully franchise quarterback. Tevin Jenkins in the second round was a guy that made sense for the Bears to get in the first round if they stayed at 20. Beyond that, Borum, swing tackle. Khalil Herbert, sleeper potentially at the running back. Das Newsome was productive in 2019 for UNC. Thomas Graham's a legit corner that should definitely make the final 53. Tonga could end up nose tackle 2 behind Eddie Goldman. That is... I don't want to be handing out A pluses, but I'm just generally hyped for the Chicago. I'm giving that an A plus. I think even just for those first 2 picks, that gets them an A plus. I think Herbert, Newsome, Graham, and Tonga all could be solid players for them as rookies. Definitely have good shots at making that final 53. I hope this doesn't come back to bite me. I hope I'm not too willy-nilly with the A pluses. But I really, really do like what the Chicago Bears did. Cincinnati Bengals, surprisingly, especially on draft Twitter, got a lot of flack for going Jamar Chase at 5 over Sewell. I would have went Sewell. I think protecting Joe Burrow is way more important. Protecting Joe Burrow with Sewell and then trusting that T. Higgins can develop into your wide receiver 1, I think that's a little bit more beneficial to me. But I'm not going to dog a pick where you get the best wide receiver in the draft class. All right, Jamar Chase is good. Carmen, maybe that's a little rich in the second round, but they are trying to improve the offensive line. Osai in the third is solid. Sample in the fourth, solid. Shelvin, nose tackle in the fourth, solid. Dante Smith, probably one of the better swing tackles in this draft, fourth round. McPherson, good kicker from Florida. Trey Hill at center, which is, solid depth guy. Chris Evans, very good athlete at running back. Could have a good shot at making that final 53. And Hubert out of Kansas State was productive, maybe kind of a limited athlete, but special teams will be his avenue to making the team. I think for Cincinnati, that's... I like Evans. I like Osai. I like Jamar. I'll give him B+. That's probably trending towards a B+, somewhere in that range. But anytime you get someone like Jamar Chase and, kind of reuniting him and Joe Burrow from LSU... it's probably going to work out fairly well for you as long as you can keep him upright. And maybe they're hoping Jackson Carman can be that guy. Because Carman, I don't know what he... Could be guard. Could be protecting, maybe to come in right guard, left guard, one of those spots. But my favorite pick outside of Jamar Chase probably is Osai in the third round. Good edge rusher. Cleveland Browns. What do we got for Cleveland? They got Greg Newsome in the first round, trying to improve that secondary. JOK in the second round. S-tier pick. Man, I wanted Philly to make that. They got the fastest wide receiver in the draft in the third round, James Hudson. Good swing tackle in the fourth round. One of the strongest players in this draft, Tommy Togiai from Ohio State in the fourth round, which, he's not going to be your immediate replacement for Sheldon Richardson or something like that, but that is definitely a guy that if I'm looking to bring in a defensive tackle and not spend a premier pick on, Togiai in the fourth is really good value. Tony Fields is a nice option at linebacker. LeCount, better athlete. Guess he kind of came in with a knock from his pro day. Felton as the gadget running back, wide receiver type player on offense. This is an A+. This is probably one of the top 3 favorite drafts from this. And hey, surprise, surprise! Who's their general manager? Yet another person we let fall through the cracks in Philadelphia in Andrew Berry. But I don't see literally any problem with any of these picks. And the Browns are maybe... It's not a hot take to say. I think they're the sleeper team in the AFC. Sleeper team is Super Bowl sleeper team. Not maybe they'll make the playoffs. Maybe they'll finally be good. If I had to pick a sleeper team, and it's not the Denver Broncos if they get Aaron Rodgers, I'm really liking the Cleveland Browns here a lot. Dallas. I've been favorable. People might think this already. I see 4 Eagles fans going to roast the cow. The last couple of years, I've given Dallas, I think Dallas and Washington, some of my highest grades overall in the league. No bias. I can tell you right now, Dallas has no moral compass. Micah Parsons is a very good linebacking prospect, but some off the field, some red flags. Kelvin Joseph, really intriguing corner player, especially at a position that Dallas needs to get better at. But kind of had to leave LSU, had some issues at LSU. Went to Kentucky, was Kentucky's best defensive player, and then ding at the close of the season, coaches benched him. I think they just I don't know if they essentially basically cut him. So major red flags there. Odigizua from UCLA, Golson, solid D-line, Deshaun Wright. project player in the 3rd round, maybe a little bit of reach. Love the Jabril Cox selection, even though it's weird that they now have 4 linebackers. Get they've had injury problems, so it's fine to have depth. Josh Ball, terrible human being, like beat up his girlfriend, and it was actually like the more you look at it, it's Dallas Cowboys, man. What a shitty team. Fehoko, height, weight, speed at wide receiver. You got a nose tackle. I love Mukwamu's length, especially in the 6th round. And then you got a guard here in the 7th. Ultimately for Dallas, I love the Cox selection. I love the fact that obviously as much as you can kind of knock the red flag issue, Micah Parsons is a really, really good player. Probably C+, going towards a B-, C+, B-, somewhere in that range for Dallas. I don't really think I can obviously I want to give Dallas the lower score with a C+, but like, I don't know, I don't want to be too, like those late round, like the day 3 wasn't great, the right wasn't, that's a little bit of a reach. Golson went higher the next, no, we'll give him a C+. And plus I've had a lot of Cowboy fans, because trust me, a lot of Cowboy fans like to go at it with me on Twitter. A lot of Cowboy fans weren't actually super stoked on this draft. So yeah, we're going to give him a C+. Okay. Moving on. Denver. Probably the first, of the draft. They got Pat Surtain at corner. You'd figure corner was already a strength of the Denver Broncos coming to this. But when you get the best corner, in my opinion, in the class, are you really going to nitpick that too much? Javonte Williams in the 2nd round. I love that 1-2 punch there with Melvin Gordon. Quinn Meinerz on the interior of that offensive line. Great athlete. Baron Browning, if you can figure out what he's going to be good at and develop him, that could be nice value in the 3rd round. I like Caden Stearns and Jamar Johnson. Back-to-back interesting safeties. Stearns, better athlete. Johnson, better technician. Seth Williams, height, weight, speed, wide receiver. Kerry Vincent can go in the slot. Jonathan Cooper, solid value as well. Spencer, good athlete. Kind of a, fringe bubble roster type guy, but interesting fit for that front 3. I like it, man. I think it's still what's going on with that QB spot. That's a big thing that kind of looms over this draft. But I'm going to, looking at that, I'm giving that a B+. I think they did a very nice job. And even with the weird selection of Surtain, still a good haul there for the Denver Broncos. And now, go get Aaron Rodgers. Detroit. All right. Well, I bet you the Detroit Lions didn't think Sewell was going to slip to him. He did, because protecting Jared Goff, keeping Jared Goff upright is going to be the best chance to see if maybe they can salvage Jared Goff. Onwuzurike was a potential 1st rounder, so that's good value getting him in the 2nd round. I like Alim McNeil at defensive tackle. I don't know with his size if they're going to view him as a nose tackle or not, but good athlete. Melifonwu, great long, lengthy corner, a guy I wanted Philly to target. Amon-Ra St. Brown in the 4th round is great. Derek Barnes, good blitzing linebacker. And then Jamar Jefferson, very productive Pac-12 running back there in the 7th round. I like all of those picks. And I don't want to be, like I said, I don't want to be giving these out, but I'm giving Detroit an A+. I think they definitely probably are going to have a top 5 draft class when all is said and done. For my grades, hell of a job, man. Hell of a job. I blessed them, I guess, somehow by not finishing the Lions franchise series, because then they got Dan Campbell, and they went on to have an outstanding draft here in 2021. Green Bay looking to redeem themselves from last year's stinker. What did they do? Well, they got Eric Stokes at 29. I'm an Eric Stokes homer. Glad that he went in the 1st round. Josh Myers was a reach in the 2nd round. Not a bad center player, but given the centers that were still on the board, I'm pretty sure, wasn't Creed Humphrey still there? Meinerz was still there, and you went Josh Myers. Suspect, Amari Rodgers, probably the best pick of the entire draft. Slot wide receiver, should be able to contribute as a rookie. Newman's a versatile lineman. Slayton at nose tackle is, it is what it is. McDuffie's solid value. I mean, there's some good players there. Solid name value. Van Lanen from the Wisconsin O-line to NFL pipeline. Kylan Hill could be something. Depth running back. It's so hard. Just like when you think anything Green Bay, being like, well, what's going on with Aaron Rodgers? I'll give that a C. Stokes and Rodgers, I really like those picks. McDuffie could be nice in the 6th round as well. But overall, maybe Aaron Rodgers is onto something. Where I think if you believe the reports, where Aaron Rodgers is like, can we just fire the GM? I think it sounds like Aaron Rodgers will come back if you fire the GM. Don't pick your GM over Aaron Rodgers. Make the right decision. Green Bay Packers aren't the Packers fans, owners of the team. Fucking fire that guy. Okay. We got Houston. Oh, what just happened here? I didn't want that. Houston. Didn't have a whole lot of picks. kind of, I'm going to say almost made the most out of it. You got Davis Mills, which is, someone asked me what I think about the Davis Mills pick. That is something that we're going to have to kind of wait to hindsight. We have to wait and see. But Nico Collins, height, weight, speed, wide receiver. Brevin Jordan's really good value in the 5th round. Garrett Wallow, more of a blitzing special teamer. Roy Lopez, run-stuffing D's tackle. It's going to be tough to give Houston a good grade because limited picks. But I obviously Collins and Brevin Jordan are solid. I think it's still just... It's a shit show there. I can't give it. I'm not going to give it an F because you didn't really have a 1st or 2nd round pick, and Brevin Jordan the 5th. I like that value, but it's also like, does this draft still something like they could have? There's a scenario where like if you give me hindsight for Houston, I can go back and like repick this draft. I probably could have got a better haul, kind of thing. So, and obviously that sounds incredibly full of myself, but yeah, does this draft make Houston any better next season? Davis Mills is not ready to play next season. Yeah, I'll give him a C-. I'm not going to be overly critical and give him that F. Indianapolis came into this draft wanting to replace Costanzo at left tackle, and they get a tackle in the 7th round only. I'm actually not a huge fan of this draft. I think both edge rushers are solid. Kwity Paye, kind of suspect production, but great athlete. Odiniabo from Vandy, probably butchered his name, but he was one of those sleeper defensive ends. A lot of people love him. Kind of gives off some, like, maybe Michael Bennett type vibes. Granson, receiving tight end. I like Sean Davis. He was probably one of my favorite sleeper Gator players on the defensive side of the ball. They get Ellinger, Strachan, height, weight, speed, wide receiver. He's like 6'5", ran 4'5". Weird draft, though. A weird draft for Indy. And the last time I tried to roast Indy, I got put in a goddamn Darius Leonard roast tape session. This is like a C. That's, I don't, like, so they're 100% giving up on, like, Toure and Ben Banogu, I assume, with the pay, these selections there, or maybe they're going to have one of those guys take over, like Outry, kind of move them inside. It's a weird draft. I'll just say that. It's a weird draft, and Carson Wentz is probably still going like, wow, I went from Philly where I didn't get any help to now going to Indy where I didn't really get any help. Jacksonville, the Jaguars. All right, well, they got Trevor Lawrence, home run. Etienne, kind of a surprising pick in the 1st round, especially disrespect to James Robinson, but when you view it as a 1-2 punch, it's interesting. Tyson Campbell on the outside kind of fits the mold of corner that they have there with Shaq Griffin and with C.J. Henderson. Walker Little's a gamble, but it's a lottery ticket that if it pays out, you got yourself a guy that was one of the highest rated high school tackles, was excellent for Stanford as a true freshman and into his 2nd season. So if he stays healthy, kind of like Landon Dixon a little bit of the Eagles, could pay out big time long term. I love the Andre Cisco selection. I'm a fan of the Jay Tufele selection. Rest of the draft, Jordan Smith did not test well at all in his pro day. Luke Farrell, given some of the other tight ends, like Brevin Jordan was still there. That's like Ohio State bias. And Jalen Camp, great athlete, but Georgia Tech receiver. They just don't throw the ball. So it's not a bad draft. I'm going to say B-. Oh, no, I can't do that. They got Trevor. I don't know, but you know what? Straight in the... It's a B when we think of, like, the talent that they got. It's a B. But, how much are we going to reward them for, like, hey, you didn't not pick Trevor Lawrence? I think for the picks that they actually had to make, it could have been better. I think you could have done better with the picks available for the Jags, but it's absolutely not a bad draft class at all. Just going to be really interested to see where Tyson Campbell fits in and if getting ETN in that 1st round was the best use of resources for Urban Meyer in his 1st draft. Kansas City Chiefs. A+. They are getting an A+. They got Nick Bolton, who was depending on what mock draft you're looking at, I had him as 2nd, 3rd rounder, but potential 1st rounder, pretend we were looking at Nick Bolton at linebacker at need. Creed Humphrey was a potential 1st rounder. They got him in his 2nd round. Kane Doe, great project type defensive end. Gray's a solid receiving tight end. Cornell Powell in the 5th round had his breakout year with Clemson. And then you got Trey Smith, a guy that I think if the medicals checked out and if he could stay and all that stuff is an okay there, he probably should have went 3rd round. Wouldn't have been shocked if he went 2nd round. So for Kansas City to get this kind of haul without having a 1st round pick, I hate to be like, oh, C4 gave like 8 teams an A+, but like I think that's an outstanding job there for the Kansas City Chiefs, especially knowing that their offensive line was dog shit and the fact they still got Creed Humphrey, Trey Smith, you got a very solid wide receiver in Powell, interesting developmental edge in Kendo that can take over that Passignon role as their developmental edge rusher. And then Nick Bolton, who can be potentially a very good start sooner than later, produces sooner or later linebacker for the Chiefs. No first round pick, no problem. And also, you know what? I'll put that into the A+. Orlando Brown was their first round pick. A+ for Kansas City. Chargers are up next. What do we got here? Rashawn Slater fell right into their lap. That probably was their dream pick for a lot of Charger fans. Asante Samuel in the second round is great. Josh Palmer, the Canadian, in the third round, wide receiver, solid. Trey McKitty, maybe a little rich in the third round. He's a developmental tight end, but the upside is there. I like Chris Rumpf in the fourth round. Rest of the picks don't really do much for me there, but valuing them on Slater, Asante Samuel, Palmer, McKitty, and Rumpf, I'd say A-. That's, Rashawn Slater is going to start. Asante Samuel could very well start. And I think Josh Palmer absolutely could potentially be wide receiver 3. I don't know if you're going to necessarily put him right there in the slot, but I think he will be the kind of guy that gets 400 yards, 4 touchdowns as a rookie and will be a nice target there for Justin Herbert. Rams are up. This was not a great draft, in my opinion. The picks that I like, Tutu out getting a 140-pound wide receiver in the second round. Yikes. Ernest Jones, especially with some of the linebackers, like Jabril Cox was still there. Don't get it. I like Bobby Brown. I like Robert Rochelle. I think intrigue in Jacob Harris, because, he's kind of the mystery man. Height, weight, speed. Not really a lot of production. Hasn't played football for a whole long time. I like Funk. I like Jake Funk. White running backs represent there in the 7th round, but Bobby Brown and Robert Rochelle, the 2 4th-round picks, those are the meat and potatoes for me for the Rams. Rest of that draft is, it's not an F, but it's definitely as low as I can go there. That's not a great draft for the Rams, I don't think. We have Las Vegas. And I think if you're looking at this from the Vegas standpoint, if you flip Moehrig at 17 and Leatherwood in the second round, which probably they might have been able to do that anyways, it looks a little bit better. Kuntz is a reach in the third round. Diablo is weird because you kind of got Tanner Muse last year, and they're the same type of player. Gillespie's okay. Hobbs is solid. I like Jimmy Morrissey as my day 3 as a day 3 center, but it's also just T-, man. That's I don't know, man. I don't know what's going on. I thought Mike Mayock might be a better general manager than this. Is this kind of John Gruden seeping into the front office and the decisions there? Not, at least you got positions you needed. You needed a tackle. Maybe Leatherwood's that guy. You needed a safety. He was safety 1. That was easily their best pick, getting Moehrig in the second round. But I don't know, man. A lot of suspect Raider picks, which is sadly becoming kind of the norm for them during this regime. Miami got Jalen Waddle at 6. Jalen Phillips, my edge 1 at 18. Obviously, you kind of got to be patient with the medicals. Javon Holland, I love that pick in the second round. Eckenberg, love that pick. Hunter Long, third round tight end. I don't know if finding the second tight end to pair with Gesicki was worth that big of an investment. Coleman's a solid swing tackle. You got Doakser from Cincinnati, the running back. Really going to value this, I think, on those first 4 picks, which all 4 of those guys, in my opinion, could potentially have been first rounders. So for me and the Miami Dolphins, they are getting an A. We got the Minnesota Vikings. They got good business, being able to trade back to 23 and still getting maybe the guy that they were planning on getting all along. Christian Darrisaw can plug and play at left tackle right away. Kellen Mond, got to start pairing for life beyond Kirk Cousins. I like Surratt. I love Wyatt Davis in the third round. Patrick Jones is solid. Nwangu, S.T. Radley from Iowa State, limited production. Maybe round 4 is a little too rich there. Bynum's intriguing. Had some good production at Cal. Janaris Robinson is a developmental edge. Smith Marset, good speedster. You got Zach Day. The Vikings always get on day 3 the guys that I want Philly to get. Jalen Twyman, pro day aside, I'm a fan. This is a good draft for Minnesota. I'm going to give probably an A. I think I'm still going to give Minnesota an A. They ticked off and got pretty much all the needs checked out. Would have been nice maybe to get an Anthony Harris replacement, but still, generally speaking, a stellar draft. I mean, maybe Bynum, they're going to view him as a safety. I think they announced him as a safety during the draft. But it's, Minnesota Vikings, kind of like the Ravens for me. Always, last 3-4 years, especially day 3, get a lot of good players that I like. Patriots are here. Mac Jones fell right into their lap because, heaven forbid, we actually get the Patriots to have to trade up for a quarterback. Barmore in the second round is good value. Ronnie Perkins in the third round, good value. Stevenson, solid. McGrone's outstanding value in the fifth round. I was screaming for Philadelphia to draft him. Bledsoe, solid. Last two picks, don't really do a whole lot for me. But the fact they got McGrone, Perkins, Barmore, and they didn't have to trade up for Mac Jones, I'm also going to have to sadly give the Patriots an A. Surprise, surprise, they're a well-run team. But you could argue last couple of years of the drafts of the Patriots, especially last year, wasn't great. Suspect drafting for Bill Belichick, and he's back. The fact that he got 4 guys that I absolutely love, I'm going to have to give them credit where credit is due there. New Orleans Saints. First round, they got Peyton Turner. Surprise. Pretty much a surprise for, like, again, in going D-end. There's all those reports that they were trying to trade up for a corner. Pete Werner in the second round, maybe a slight reach, but he's a solid linebacker, intriguing skill set. Adebo in the third round, great pick. Ian Book, maybe a reach in the fourth. Shocked that he went in the fourth round. What is he really going to offer to them next season? Obviously QB3 behind Taysom Hill and Jameis Winston, but another guy just maybe if Sean Payton likes a quarterback, it maybe bodes well for them. Landon Young and Kawan Baker to finish out the draft. I love the Adebo selection in the third round. The rest of it doesn't really do a lot for me, so I'm going to have to give the New Orleans Saints C-. Giants. Okay. Kadarius Toney, which sucks. I hate anytime a Gator goes to a divisional rival. But, maybe a little rich for Toney, given the fact that he's still very much a developmental wide receiver. But if he hits his ceiling, he's going to be dangerous. Ojulari in the second round is great value. There is the medical, that's why he slipped, but was a potential first-round edge rusher. Aaron Robinson, good value in the third round. Ellerson Smith, big-time developmental edge rusher, but the athletic profile, small school production is there. So him and Ojulari, definitely you can see that the Giants are trying their best to improve that pass rush. Gary Brightwell, Arizona, depth. I love Rodarius Williams. He was a guy that I thought was a perfect fit for Philadelphia. Greedy Williams' little brother. It's not a bad draft. I think this is probably BB- territory for the Giants. I'll give him a B because I love Kadarius Toney, but it's not a bad draft at all. And the fact that this Kadarius Toney pick also needs to be kind of grouped together, that they got a second first-round pick next season, yeah, I'll give them a solid B there. But you can see, according to at least ESPN, did not really check off any needs there for the New York Giants. Jets. Good old Joe Douglas. We talked about Andrew Berry and what hell of a job he did with the Cleveland Browns. Joe Douglas is the other kind of front office personnel that slipped through the cracks here in Philadelphia. Zach Wilson in the first round, liked the pick. Trading up for Vera Tucker, love that pick. Not as huge a fan of the Elijah Moore selection as some, just because, it's kind of like James Robinson and the Jags when they got ETN. It's like you have, James Crowder's been your best wide receiver. And what is he, 28? He's not like super old, but good wide receiver. Michael Carter there. Not going to be a 3-down back, but intrigued. Good receiving back. Rest of the picks, of the bunch, Marshall's a good athlete. Nasruddin's intriguing, but maybe not the best end of the draft there for the Jets. But those first 2 picks, really even the first 4 picks, and envisioning just how much better they got on the offensive side of the ball, I'll give them A-, B+, somewhere in that territory. But maybe I'll give Joe Douglas benefit of the doubt. I love the aggressiveness that should be go up and get Elijah Vera Tucker. And hey, if he could be a tackle for them and not a guard, because just from positional value standpoint, A-, B+, somewhere in that territory there for the Jets. But to make it official, I'll give them A-. Whoo, Philadelphia. Okay. Devontae Smith in the first round, awesome. That's as good as a pick as you can get. Landon Dixon in the second round, long-term planning, scared to death about the medical. Milton Williams getting D-tackle 3 in the third round. Maybe not the best use of resources at that point. I don't know if third round, but really good athlete, really intrigued to see how he fits the team. And go back to this Dickerson pick, could have been JOK at linebacker, which I would have loved. McPherson, day 3 though for Philly was good. A good day. I like the McPherson selection. Great scheme fit. I love the Kenneth Gainwell pick. Probably one of my favorite picks in this draft, regardless of if I was an Eagle fan or not. Marlon T was exceptional value. I like Jackson. Stevens was another one of the guys I wanted them to pick. Only real guy that doesn't really do anything for me is Patrick Johnson there in the 7th round. But the fact that Philadelphia was also able to get right away for UDFA's Trevon Grimes, wide receiver from Florida, and Jamie Newman, quarterback from Wake Forest, I would have been happy with either one of those guys in the 7th round, enough for me to give them the A-OK. But so for Philly, B, you got Devontae Smith, and I really like the work they did in day 3. And the players, talent that they got day 2 with Dickerson and Williams is solid, even though you would argue, corner, linebacker, especially corner. It's going to be too hard for Philly to not have an outside corner from this draft, especially sooner than later, for me to give them a higher grade than a B. Pittsburgh, they got Najee Harris in the first round, polarizing pick among Steeler fans because some Steeler fans love it. Other Steeler fans despise the idea of going running back early. We got Freiermuth in the second round. That's really good value. Kendrick Green's going to be the center, maybe the successful heir to Marquise Pouncey. Beyond that, you got thick boy punter. Quincy Roche in the 6th round is solid. But overall, a lot of that day 3 is not doing much for me. Harris and Freiermuth, Green, I'll include that bubble, that first 3 guys. I'll give them B-. Solid job there. And I think between Freiermuth and Najee Harris, you're going to get 2 nice, young, impactful rookies that should contribute a lot for that offense next season. Seattle, very limited picks. They got Dwayne Eskridge, speedster, out of Western Michigan in the 2nd round. Trey Brown, slot corner in the 4th round. And Stone Forsythe, tackle from Florida in the 6th round. Who's as a Gator fan, he was kind of the guy that, you never heard his name, which is a good thing for an offensive lineman. Didn't make a whole lot of mistakes in Florida. C? I feel like Eskridge's skill set is he's kind of like Lockett, I guess. Lockett's your gadget, speedster, probably more of a slot. I'll give it a C. I'm not in love with that Seattle Seahawks draft. Again, another team doesn't really draft particularly well, let's be honest. I think it's one of those things when you think of Legion of Boom Seattle with Russell Wilson and that drop-off that we've seen since that peak Legion of Boom. Don't have to look much farther than the drafts that the Seattle Seahawks have been doing the last couple of years. 49ers. Well, everyone for 49ers, Niner fans were kind of roasting me. Well, not roasting me, venting to me about the bank selection and some of this stuff. And I was like, hey, you got Trey Lance, you didn't get Mac Jones. Pretty much the rest of this draft is not going to be sucky. Sermon in the 3rd round. We all know how much I like the running back Sermon. And then they got Elijah Mitchell in the 6th round. I like both those picks. Hufanga in the 5th is solid. Ambry Thomas in the 3rd. Maybe a little high, but he is a solid corner prospect. Tested better than expected at his pro day. I think ultimately it's a stellar haul here for the 49ers. Banks is kind of surprising. Maybe overpaid for him a little bit, but he's an intriguing guard. Good power guard. B-, C+, probably somewhere in that range. B-, C+ for the San Francisco 49ers. I'll give him B- to stick my neck out on the line and give him an official grade. Tampa Bay, who absolutely didn't really have to draft anybody because they got their entire Super Bowl team. They got Tryon as a developmental edge rusher, most likely the successor to JPP. I love Kyle Trask, going to be probably the successful heir to Tom Brady in 15 years. Hainsey's versatility is intriguing. Jalen Dart in the 4th round is super exciting, a.k.a. he's going to sit, hopefully he learns football tendencies and football habits from Antonio Brown. He will be the long-term slot option there, I think, for the Bucs going forward. Britt's a solid special teamer. Wilcox has some height, weight, speed to him, and Stewart is a special teamer. It's just a solid draft. I'd give nothing too spectacular, nothing too unspectacular. I say B- for the Bucs. They didn't really have to do much because they literally are just getting ready to run it back next season anyways. Tennessee, you got Caleb Farley. This is a question mark. I like the value if he's healthy, but will he be healthy? You would hate to see potentially things don't go well here, and you have another Isaiah Wilson situation where your 1st round pick is not going to be able to contribute to you guys. But we'll go in the sense of optimism, and they desperately needed corner help. Reduns, I love that selection to take over and try to lessen the sting of the Isaiah Wilson selection. I think he could be a great right tackle. Monty Rice, overdrafted. Molden, solid, kind of weird proportions to him, but he's a good DB. Des Fitzpatrick looked good at the Senior Bowl. Weaver is solid. McMath, height, weight, speed. Brady Breeze at this point. Special teamer, not a bad draft. I would say, again, I'd probably say B-, C+, kind of like Tampa, kind of like San Fran, somewhere in that range. Wasn't a bad draft, not a spectacular draft though. And we're going to finish up here with the Washington football team. Maybe slightly surprising they got Jamin Davis in the 1st round, but I think of Riverboat Ron Rivera, Jack Del Rio, 2 guys that have extensive opinions for evaluating linebackers as former linebackers themselves. I think I'd feel comfortable with the selection. I love Cosme. I thought he could potentially go in the 1st round. Ben St-Juste, Canadian bias aside, intriguing DB. Could be a corner, could be a safety. Diami Brown, great deep threat. John Bates is solid. Maybe a slight overdraft there, given some of the tight ends were available. I like the Derrick Forrest selection. I love Shaka Toney in the 7th round. Dax Milne was the go-to guy for Zach Wilson at BYU. It's a great draft there. I'm going to give them A-. Again, it's frustrating for me. I would love to have the Cowboys, the Giants, and Washington have goddamn terrible drafts every single year. It makes life as an Eagle fan that much easier. There's less good prospects that I love and fall in love with throughout the draft process. I have to kind of be like, they went within the division, but Washington has been drafting fairly well. For how disorganized and dysfunctional that front office seems to be, excluding the coaching staff, that front office, they've been drafting fairly solid these last couple. Last year, it's kind of like the Trevor Lawrence of the Jags things. How much we're going to give them credit for getting Chase Young, but a great infusion of young talent these last couple drafts for Washington. So those are my draft grades for the 2021 draft. Very long video, but for all you got stuck through it, thank you very much. You're the lifeblood to this channel. I appreciate it. Let me know what you guys feel about the grades I handed out. Let me know what you guys feel about your drafts in particular in the comment section below. I look forward to seeing that. And that'll do it for me today, guys. Thank you for watching. As always, first time stopping by, don't be afraid to hit that subscribe button. Smash the like button if you enjoyed. And until next time, it's C4 saying peace out.